Prologue. On mythical Abode Mountain, Cloud's End Cliff was the deadliest of the 4 deadly regions on Azure Cloud continent. Cloud's End Cliff was often called the Death God's Graveyard. During the countless years, people who have fallen off this cliff was too many to count. None had survived, including 3 peak experts with overwhelming might akin to the Heavenly Kings themselves. At this moment, on the edge of this cliff, a black-haired, black-eyed youth leaned on the side of a rock that measured 2 people in height. There was blood everywhere on top of his black clothing, with many open wounds on his person. He was on the rock for just a few breaths worth of time, yet a pool of blood was already beneath his feet. His chest heaved, and it could be said that the pace at which he breathed was heavy enough to cause fear in a person. On his entire body, every one of his muscles trembled slightly, indicating his exhaustion and loss of strength. If it were not for this giant rock, he probably would not even be able to stand on his own. However, both of his eyes were cold and calm like 2 cold blades, shining with the ferocity of wolves. The edge of his mouth sneered with extreme disdain. In front of him stood a dark crowd of people that blocked all his escape routes. Yun-Chi, you are cornered. If you obey us and hand over the Sky Poison Pearl, perhaps we may allow you to live. Today we are going to enforce justice on behalf of heaven to get rid of this scourge. If you hurry up and quickly surrender the Sky Poison Pearl, we can let you die a happy death, or you will taste the pain of 1,000 blades in your heart. Yun-Chi, stop being so stubborn. Your only way out is to hand over the Sky Poison Pearl. You are unworthy of such a holy object. Waves of roars came from the crowd, with everyone there shouting words like justice and righteousness. If anyone from the Azure Cloud continent passed by, they would be stunned by this scene. This dark crowd of people consisted of the strongest clans of the Azure Cloud continent. The leaders of the clans were all present, and even some of the forgotten old members were there as well. It was not too far-fetched to say that if one picked anyone out from this crowd, he would be someone that can shake any region. Now, they were all gathered for this youth, who had been pushed to the edge of this cliff. Specifically, for the Sky Poison Pearl in his hand, the #1 holy object of Azure Cloud continent. While slowly approaching, the crowd shouted with threatening menace. When the Sky Poison Pearl finally showed up again, they were faced with this irresistible treasure once more. After hunting for 3 full days, they could not wait to harvest the fruits of their labor. You guys want this Sky Poison Pearl? Yun-Chi laughed coldly. As he slowly raised his right hand, a jade green ball with a dim radiance appeared in his hand. The moment this pearl glowed, everyone stopped in their tracks. Staring tightly at the green pearl, their eyes shone with greed. To Yun-Chi, these people who were strong enough to scare the world looked filthy and sly. He slowly raised his eyes. Although cornered, his pupils shone with arrogance and mockery. Clear hatred was deep in his eyes. My master spent his life trying to save the world. He saved countless people seeking neither benefit nor fame but because of this Sky Poison Pearl. You guys from the so-called righteous sects killed my master 7 years ago. I hate myself for being so useless that I didn't finish all of you dog-shit righteous sects off in these 7 years. Every word of his contained deep-seated hatred. Although it had been 7 years, just thinking about the death of his master still made bloody tears stream down the edge of his eyes. Yun-Chi did not know who his parents were for when his master found him. It seemed like he was only a few days old. It was deep in the springtime when his master picked up Yun-Chi. The clouds were scattered, the wind was light, the mountain spiritual, and the water crystal clear. He named the child Yun-Chi in hopes his heart would be as pure as clouds and as clear as water, so that when he grew up, he would inherit his craft as a healer to rescue the dying and cure the injured with a heart void of corruption. No matter how serious the disease or trauma, Master could clear them all. This was due to the Sky Poison Pearl hidden in his body. The 2 words, Sky Poison, meant that this pearl was highly toxic, but medicine and poison were of the same origin. Master never used its poison. He only used alchemy to extract, melt and in the end produce holy medicines to save millions of lives. He taught all his medical skills to Yun-Chi thoroughly, but 7 years ago, word of his Sky Poison Pearl was spread. He gave it to Yun-Chi and told him to escape. Shortly afterwards, he died at the hands of the major sects. When news of his master's death reached Yun-Chi, he cried for 3 days and 3 nights. The root of hatred was firmly planted inside his heart, and he no longer practiced in the medicinal arts. Instead, he absorbed poison from the pearl. Revenge became his only belief. After 7 years, he mastered the poison and bared the fangs of revenge. In less than 10 days, the poison spread not only thousands of miles, killing countless people, but also panic and horror throughout the Azure Cloud continent. It attracted the strong and mighty, for they were fascinated by this treasure. This started the hunt of Yunqi in order to obtain the Sky Poison Pearl. To the situation right now, he glared at everyone in his field of vision, with hatred in his eyes, and laughed coldly. As soon as his laughter reached the level of ice, he roared, "You son of a b***chiz, you want my Sky Poison Pearl? You are all daydreaming." After making this deep proclamation, Yunqi suddenly raised his hand and threw the Sky Poison Pearl in his mouth. He then pushed the pearl down his throat, and it instantly rushed straight into his stomach. What are you doing?" He actually swallowed the Sky Poison Pearl. "Yunqi, do you want to die that badly? It's fine, no big deal, we will kill him and take the pearl." The Sky Poison Pearl entered his body, but the poison didn't spread out in his body and kill him like they thought it would. A faint green light emitted from the surface of his body. "Kill him now. Otherwise the Sky Poison Pearl may change inside his body. That would be a huge problem." Roaring, a dozen people in the front row went for Yunqi at the same time. Looking at the figures of the people he wanted to destroy, Yunqi began to laugh. His laughter was weak and dry, but still very arrogant. "I don't have the ability to kill you guys, but don't think that you can kill me. You pieces of trash are not worthy of this Sky Poison Pearl, and even more unworthy of killing me. If I die, I would die by my own hands." Ha 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 ha. After laughing, Yunqi used every bit of his last strength to jump backwards. "Stop him." Several hands reached out to Yunqi after realizing his intent, but could not even grasp half his shadow. They could only watch as his body free fell down into the valley. Clouds End Cliff. It is very suitable for my Yunche's grave. TL, Yun equals cloud. There is nothing to hold me back, for I no longer have ties in this world. Unfortunately, I could not avenge my master, nor find my biological parents. Yunqi gently held the silver pendant in front of his chest. It was the only thing he had on him when his master found him. The wind screamed past his ears as he slowly closed his eyes and let his body plunge deep into the seemingly endless dark abyss.